Is Sam Flanders out of favour at Gold Coast, and could he be a potential trade option for Richmond at the end of this season? It's an interesting question, more so that I didn't realise that Flanders was even maybe looking at going elsewhere until it came out yesterday that he might be exploring some options. But it's a really, really interesting proposition. Obviously, over in the previous off-season, Gold Coast picked up Dan Rioli and Noble, who have been their two half-backs for the entirety of this year. And prior to that, Flanders was doing that role really well. And he did transition into a half-forward role later in the year in 2024. But he was definitely most dominant off the half-back for them, almost unquestionably. And spent a little bit of time in the midfield as well. And interestingly, in 2024, he was averaging 30.9 disposals per game, 3.6 clearances, 2.3 tackles, 5.5 marks. Had a career best year. He was smashing it in every aspect. And then this year, after the arrival of Rioli and Noble, he's currently averaging 17.5 disposals, 3 marks, 2.7 tackles, 2.8 clearances. So still not bad numbers, but from a disposal perspective, it's almost a half of what he was getting, or just under half of what he was getting the previous year. So maybe there is opportunity that he wants to look elsewhere. And I suppose the next question becomes, would he be a good fit at Richmond? And I think as a 23-year-old, I think that's a really nice age to bring into the club. We do need to sort of sprinkle a few of those 23 to 25-year-olds throughout the list because, at some point in time, your Prestias, your Vlostons, your Broads and players like that, they're going to finish up at some point in the next few years. And we need to have some of these other mid-aged players already in the ranks and coming through to help steady the ship and keep taking things forward. So on that front, Flanders fits the bill perfectly. I can see him slotting into the midfield for us, or he can play off the other half-back and Tom Brown can play a different role in the back line as well. But yeah, Banks and Flanders off half-back could be interesting, or Banks or Flanders in the midfield would be equally as ideal. I wouldn't mind that either. He's quite clean with collecting the ball. Usually a pretty neat disposal. I guess the third part of the equation is he's still contracted, so what does he cost? And like we know from last year ourselves, players who are contracted demand a higher price. I guess the bigger problem is at the moment we've got picks 2 and 3. And then the question is, well, is he worth pick 2 or pick 3? Probably not. But then I don't want to seem like I'm being a jerk about it, because we obviously wanted pick 6 plus some for Dan Rioli last year and we ended up getting it. So I'm like, how much of a different player is Flanders to Rioli? And I want to talk about the Flanders of this year, because if we get, the one from last year is like almost equal to what Dan was doing in a lot of ways. So I dare say the Suns would be asking for a little bit. They've obviously got some academy picks coming up this year as well that they need to navigate around too. So maybe it's not a pick from this year. Maybe it would be a 2026 or a 2027 pick, because that might help them out a little bit as well. So if we're talking about future picks, I think it's something we should definitely explore. How does he fit onto the list of targets when in comparison to like a Reed or a Butters, for example, as well? I mean, obviously your preference would be starting at a Zach Butters and a Harley Reid. Butters, I just don't think is going to pick Richmond as a club of choice. Reid is still very much a live chance, but that's obviously going to cost a bit more than what Flanders would. And if Reid does decide to stay or go elsewhere, I still think we should be exploring the Sam Flanders option if he was willing to, wanting to come to Richmond. And people always say, but why would you want to go to Richmond when Gold Coast are playing well and in finals and all that kind of stuff? And a lot of that's a pretty valid point, but sometimes players are craving opportunity more than anything else. They believe they can play at a certain level in a certain position, which he had been doing, and that's now been taken away from him. So maybe he feels a little bit less loved by the club, or a little bit less involved or wanted in some ways. And by coming to a club like Richmond, we could pretty much guarantee him bulk midfield time from the start. We'd obviously be compensating him pretty well for it, I would imagine. And it's a chance to help, he can come and help develop and bring through these young kids as well and create their own journey. So again, that's your selling point, I guess. Obviously a lot to play out, and I don't have any other further knowledge on the Flanders situation. Yesterday was literally the first I'd heard of it, but I just thought it was a really good discussion point to see, would he be a worthwhile option to bring into the football club? And I think the answer is yes. if the chance is there to do it and it's the right price and he wants to make a change and start fresh and have more midfield time, I think he would slot in nicely to the midfield. And I know that might mean some slightly less minutes for some other players, but we do have to find some balance with some middle-aged players along the journey as well. We can't just go from experienced to no experience. It just won't work. We'll fall flat on our faces. So yeah, an interesting prospect. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Sam Flanders, are you for or against trying to bring him in? And at what price? What do you think is a fair enough trade request from the Suns to get rid of Sam Flanders? Let us know what you think. And until the next one, go Tigers.